Hi all, this is Once a Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last week we had a run through Gen 2 as we answered the question of whether or not I could beat Pokemon Silver with just a single Ledy bar. That was absolutely brutal right at the start, but check out the video if you want more details. This week though, we visit Hoenn and answer the question of whether or not I can beat Pokemon Emerald with a single Nincada. Oh boy, Nincada is pretty unfortunate. We're a bug and ground type, which I think might be unique as this Pokemon is a combination. I checked and it is if you ignore Sandcloak Wormadon. We've got a 268 base stat total with an impressive defence. Everything else though, yikes! We're weak to flying, fire, water and ice, used by 5 specialist trainers in Hoenn. We're immune to electric and resist fighting, poison and ground. Move wise, what do we get? Not bad coverage actually, we get dig via level up as well as metal claw. I may get some use out of Leech Life, it could be good for health recovery. Via TM, it's not too fantastic. We do get Hidden Power, Giga Drain, Return, Shadow Ball and Aerial Ace for potential coverage. Predictions then. I don't know what level I'll have to be to beat the Rock Gym. I think we'll struggle to hit hard enough to beat Roxanne. Flannery could be tricky if we can't get some power hits off with our ground moves. I'm dreading the Flying Gym, particularly we're known as Skarmory. I don't know how bad the Psychic Gym will be. And then there's Juan and Wallace. I can see Drake being tough too. Just the rules then. In combat I can only use Nincada. Other Pokemon will be needed for HMs but unable to fight. Only held items and Pokeballs in combat, but I can use items outside of battle. And last of all, no glitches or exploits. If you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring the bell. This week's challenge was suggested on YouTube by Jason Kabunak. If you have any ideas for challenges, drop them below or in my Twitter or on my Discord. The links are, as always, in the description. Using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, I replaced Trico with Nincada so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Trico so that our rival would have Torchic, which would be the hardest for us to fight. Mudkip would probably have served just as well, but this is the route I chose to go down. I nickname our Nincada Hirsch, guess the reference. We've got the Compound Eyes ability, which is great, and the hasty nature. Increased speed and less physical defence. Actually, that's not bad. A little less defence possibly isn't going to hurt, and the speed increase could be handy. Around here, Zigzagoon, Tailo and Wingull give speed EVs, so I'm good with that. I want to work on the special defence too, given how weak we are to water and fire. Unfortunately, the only thing that gives us special defence EVs is Lotad, which can be pretty infrequent. So that bit is going to be painful and I can't do it until after I've beaten May. So I'm going to grind up on the speed critters. It takes a while to find the Zigzagoon I need. Plus, the Wingull have Water Gun, which is pretty awkward to take at this point when it does do super effective damage to us. Eventually, at level 8, I do go after May and see how we do. It's definitely not that hard of a fight, as Hirsch manages to scratch her Torchic to death after a few rounds. It does land a few blows in retaliation, but never looks close to knocking us out, so I guess that's that then. At least I can get access to the Lotad area now to the west of Oldale Town. Once I've got the Pokedex, I head out and start to grind, catching 5 Zigzagoon to use as my pickup team so that I can get free items off the ground by beating enemy combatants senseless. So yeah, I need to knock out 252 Lotad to make me slightly more fire and water resistance. And I keep going, and going, and going. I even got Bulbapedia open to work out the maths. On this route, there's a 60% chance it'll be a Poochyena or a Wurmple. Lotad is a 20% chance of appearing. Zigzagoon is 15%, so it takes a long time, but worth the effort I guess. We're probably going to struggle in the Rock Gym anyway, unless we're at a decent level, so I think this time spent grinding and EV training isn't wasted at all. We finally make a try on Roxanne at level 21 and I'll see how we do here. I do discover Leech Life actually does neutral damage to rock and ground types, which surprised me. I figured at least one of those types would resist it. 25 years and I still don't know type matchups. Outstanding. This battle goes pretty badly, even with our level advantage. We simply can't hurt the Geodude enough, due to them having pretty good defence. Leech Life isn't resisted, but this is before Leech Life got buffed in Gen 7. It still only has 20 base power here, and it does physical damage. As well, when the first Geodude starts using Defense Curl, it is pretty much a sign that we're not going to win easily. We only get 15 power points on Leech Life, and Scratch does like 1 or 2 points of damage, so we have to be more discriminate with the moves we use at what time. This battle goes on for like 6.5 minutes in real time. We do put up a few hardens to protect us, as well as kicking a sand attack at the first Geodude, and it does miss quite a few rock attacks on us, which is good. Man, I can't believe how long this takes, but eventually the first Geodude does go down. It doesn't help with her healing it. That was just awful, because as we start to chip it down, she hacks us her potions. The second Geodude isn't particularly better. Our first Leech Life only does about a 6 to an 8 of its health in damage, and this is before it starts defensive curling. We try some Leech Life to recover health, but ultimately it is all for nothing. Once again, she heals it when we wear it down, and eventually it takes us out with a crit. We do get Mud Slap in 10 levels, but I really hope that's not what we've got to grind up to. That might be a bit excessive. I go back into it at level 26. With how long the first effort was, I want a bit more power behind me for when I try this again, because I'd rather spend 6 minutes grinding than 6 minutes having death by 1,000 rock throws from a Geodude that laughs when we try to hit it. On the second attempt, and this attempt was more than 10 minutes long in real time, I do get to the nose pass and get it roughly halfway down its health bar, and that includes after it eats its berry, but we do run out of PP on our attacking moves, and I have to try and run out our Harden and Sand attack to get to struggle, but it's little avail because it does knock us out. I think I'm going to need that super effective Mud Slap in 5 levels time, aren't I? Fine, here we go. At level 31, we get Mud Slap and we go back in. At least, the bare minimum that can be said about Mud Slap is that it is an upgrade on Sand Attack. We're nearly 20 levels above the Geodude. It's a stab super effective move. This has to do something. It does quite well actually. It wipes out 3/4 of Geodude's health. A stab super effective move from something nearly 20 levels higher, I'll repeat, before she lands Rock Tomb and heals it. We take it out with Mud Slap and Leech Life. The second Geodude fight goes exactly the same way, only it misses Rock Tomb, thanks to the accuracy of that move being trash. When she heals it, we take it out with another Mud Slap and Leech Life combo. With Nose Pass, the first Mud Slap is a crit, which wipes out most of its health, but the berry heals it up. After, she uses Harden, but we take it down with a few more Mud Slaps to finally take the victory. Finally, we can move on. There is a May fight as we leave Rustboro City, and at least she doesn't have her random Torkoal this fight, because she got the fire starter in Torchic, so there is that at least. When the fight does start, her Lotad is one hit by Leech Life, probably due to that massive level advantage, before the Torchic comes out and probably imagines it has a chance right up until Mud Slap one hits it. Okay, that didn't take long. Brawly is next, and I'm pretty confident we can do the business here with little trouble. That's not the most accurate of statements. His Machop does take about 1/3 of its health in damage from Scratch and then goes to Bulk Up, but we do take it out with another crit Scratch before things can get hairy, so that's a big relief. Next up is Meditite, who can't hurt us if we keep hitting it. The only attacking move it knows being Focus Punch. It does put a Reflect up, which is annoying, but we just keep scratching at it, even when he heals it. It's more of an annoyance than a serious threat. It goes on a bit too long, but we do take it down the moment the Reflect fades. The Makahita spams Bulk Up, meaning each hit we do causes less damage. I do go for some sporadic hardens throughout the fight to ensure that we can survive the hits a little easier. Vital Throw never misses, so Mud Slap isn't going to affect the accuracy of that move, but several reversals do fail to hit their mark, which means we can win the fight with 1/3 or so of our HP remaining, despite us having to hit it so many times. He still has a Super Potion as well as a Citrus Berry going into the Makahita, so we have got to basically wear it down twice. Not helpful. Eventually, we get the badge and move on. Oh no! This is about the time I had some really tragic news IRL. I'll go into it shortly. It might delay the video or it might not. Next is the May fight under Cycling Road. This isn't bad actually. We 2-hit Wingull with the Silk Scarf boosted Scratch, but the Growl isn't going to be helpful. We're operating with lowered attack now. Combusken is a free hit with Mud Slap. It misses one Ember and lands another. Part of me thinks it'll burn us, but thankfully it doesn't. Lombre at the last is a 2-hit with Leech Life. Let's move on. Next is the Electric Gym, and I'm confident here. We're immune to electrical attacks and we have a super effective move. Granted, Mud Slap isn't quite powerful enough to one-hit most of his Pokemon, and when you bring healing items into the mix, it does cause problems. Voltorb is a 2-hit with Mud Slap, landing a largely ineffective rollout. Electrike is a 3-hit, thanks to him dropping a Super Potion on it. I don't want to hit it with Scratch in case of static paralysis. Magneton goes down to a crit Mud Slap. Normally that's the worst one to fight in this battle, and when Manectric comes out, we use all our remaining Mud Slaps to weaken it. Unfortunately, we do run out of PP and have to resort to finishing it off with Scratch and Leech Life attacks. Thankfully, the only thing it can really do to try and hurt us is use quick attacks, and they're not too bad. When it goes down, we can move on. The next major fight is the Maxi one on Mount Chimney. This could be interesting. We're a physical attacker, so Mighty Inner's Intimidate won't be helpful, considering we don't hit that hard to start with. I throw a flurry of Metal Claws onto Mighty Inner, hoping that I can get the attack buff, but alas, it never comes, as we get hit with a Sand attack that has no impact on us throughout the fight, and also a barrage of bites. When he heals it, we start going for Leech Life attacks to get health back. When Camerupt comes out, Dig does massive damage as it misses Ember and goes for Focus Energy. He heals it, and while we're underground, he hits a crit magnitude that causes decent damage before we take it out with that second dig. I take Zubat down with Metal Claw attacks, taking a wing attack, but we shake it off and survive to finish it. The next one might be awkward as we face off against Fire Jim Flannery with that massive fire weakness. This is part of the reason why I worked on the special defence. Well, that and the 2 water type specialists. Anyway, we dig our way into battle and use that very move on Numel, who does hit us with a magnitude while we're underground for a massive 10 points of damage, but we do one hit it. The Slugma, it's not a problem, as when we use Dig on it, it straight up murders it, and that's 2 down. Camerupt is also a 1 hit with Dig, missing an overheat that would probably have hurt, and 3 are done. Torkoal is terrifying, particularly when it survives our dig and hits an overheat that leaves us with just 1 solitary hit point, but thankfully she's not in healing range and we can take it down with another dig before she gets the next hit in. That was way too close for comfort. We could have very easily lost there. We have the normal gym next, and I'm somewhat concerned about this one because we don't hit particularly hard and Norman can be tricky. I guess we'll have to see how we do. Badly is the answer. When we go up against his first Pokemon, the Spinder, it keeps confusing us with Teeter Dance, and I'm not even kidding, we get the worst confusion look over the course of this fight. We must hit ourselves like a dozen times. That's not good when it comes to using Dig, because more chance of it failing. I end up using a lot of Leech Life to try and get health back, but it's not particularly powerful. It takes a lot of turns, I mean that, a lot of turns, but eventually we do take Spinder down. But despite trying to get health back on the Vigour off, it takes us out with a series of slash attacks that ultimately end us. And just like that, we've got to try again. Maybe I should replace Scratch with Return. It's definitely an upgrade. I have an idea what moves I want to run with, and Return can replace Leech Life long term in that plan, because although the health recovery is nice, Leech Life is pretty weak. Anyway, this time we one hit Spinder with Return and move on to the Vigour off. That thing can survive Return. We try to finish it off with Leech Life to get the health recovery, but it survives and he heals it and I have to go again. Oh well, at least he wasted a heal as we take Vigour off down. Next is Linoon and it survives Return, failing with Belly Drum before I try to finish it with Leech Life, getting him to waste another heal in the process as we wear it back down. My master plan is coming together because when Slacking comes in, if I dig first turn, then I come out of the ground on the Truant turn and he'll never be able to hit us. I know just how annoying Truant can be. I did once take on this very game with just a single Slacking. That feels a very long time ago. It takes a series of dig attacks, but eventually we knock his big old ape down for the count and I feel pretty relieved. Let's move on. We have a rival battle next, the one next to the Weather Institute, and it should give me the chance to pick up some more experience before the horrible event that will likely be the Flying Gym. Anyway, Pelipper is incredibly annoying thanks to the way it keeps spamming Protect, and it always gives me a great sense of satisfaction when I take it down with 2 returns after it blocks several with Protect. Combusken could be dangerous, but thankfully it's a 1 hit with Dig, despite it trying to protect itself with Bulk Up, while Lombre hits a Fake Out and an Absorb, but goes down to 2 Leech Life attacks. Let's talk about the Flying Gym. I think Winona's Skarmory is going to be horrific. we get nothing that is going to hurt it, so we are probably going to struggle. Mind you, I don't have to do it yet, so let's just see if we can do it at this level or not, and if not, we'll come back later. Now mind you, we don't do bad. We do take Swablu out with 2 Metal Claws, getting the attack raise on the first turn, which is pretty awesome, and if only I could get another one. I go for Metal Claw on Tropius, but it charges up Solar Beam, and I finish it with Return. I don't fancy getting hit with that move. Pelipper is a one hit with Return, which surprises me, because Pelipper is usually defensively tanky. Skarmory though, as predicted, is where things come crashing down. Return does about a quarter of its health and it hits us repeatedly hard with Aerial Ace. I try a few more Metal Claws throughout the fight to try and get another attack raise, but it's to no avail. Eventually, it crits twice in a row to take Hoenn down. While I am in Lily Cove City after doing Mount Pyre, I tackle the last rival fight since I'm here. Tropius is beaten by a Return and 2 Metal Claws. I don't get the attack buff, unfortunately. Also, I get hit with a barrage of Magic Leaves, which isn't good either. Combusken is still a one hit with Dig, despite it once again using Bulk Up to protect itself, or attempting to anyway. I take Pelipper down with Returns. Once again, it follows the strategy of trying to protect itself like a giant sea chicken, before Ludicolo is a 2-hit with our newest move, Shadow Ball, only hitting a Swift in retaliation. Shadow Ball could be useful and it hits harder than Leech Life did. I scuttle back to Fortree City to make another try on Winona. This second attempt goes largely similar to the first, only we don't get the buff versus Swablu, and as a result we get confused by Pelipper going into the fight versus Skarmory. Hitting ourselves twice in a row doesn't help with the outcome of the fight. In theory, we might be able to free hit Skarmory, but it takes us down again. Not having fly access yet is making this bit of the game awkward because we've got to run everywhere. I go on a running spree and head over to the Magma Hideout to see what we can do versus Maxi at this level. He has the potential to be awkward. 2 of his Pokemon can hit us for super effective damage and the other has Intimidate, so we are going to be operating at a disadvantage. That Intimidate from Mightyena causes problems because we are unable to 2-hit it with Return as a result. He does heal it and I try to be sneaky and use Metal Claw to get the attack buff, but we don't get that fortunate. It hits us with 2 Scary Face attacks and misses a Swagger before we take it down. Crobat is too tough to be 2-hit by Return, which isn't good either, particularly as it lands a series of powerful Wing Attack and Air Cutter moves on us. We do take it down eventually, but we're hurting. When Camerupt comes out, we do hit it with a Dig for big damage, but it survives, and though we do survive a takedown and go for another Dig, the Earthquake finishes us from low health. I should have gone for Return. Plus, with Camerupt weak and me still having an HM Slave in the party, I suddenly have to hope it doesn't take down itself to death on my Linoone, giving us a win that voids the challenge. I go again. I can't advance the game until I've done this, so I might as well. Another round with Maxi, and this time the AI does me a huge favour. I hit a Dig on Mightyena as it misses a Scary Face, followed by a Return that leaves it weak. After he heals it and I land more blows, he lands a Swagger. Now, if we get Confusion luck, we've probably just won. We fight through Confusion to knock Mightyena out with Return, before the Crobat, out next, hits an Air Cutter. Thankfully, it doesn't crit. Hoenn then shakes Confusion off, which is massive, and then one-hits Crobat with Return, before the Camerupt is out last. It doesn't attack, it only uses Amnesia twice in a row, which is a questionable choice because it's probably not going to forget just how much the Dig that knocks it out did actually hurt. I make another try on Winona when I'm back in Fortree City because I've got to walk the long way back around to get to Lily Cove, and I'm going that way anyway. Anyway, this time we land 3 Metal Claws on Swablu but don't get the attack buff, which is worrying. It misses a Mirror Move created Metal Claw of its own and she heals it, but we take it down. I land a Metal Claw on Tropius, but I don't get the attack boost before it then uses Sunny Day. I take it out quickly with Return because I don't fancy getting hit with a Solar Beam. Pelipper is a one-hit with Return, and Skarmory probably takes just under half its health in damage from Return. I land 2 Metal Claws to put it in a knockout range while it hits some Aerial Aces, but the second Metal Claw finally gives us the attack boost and we finish Skarmory with Return. Altaria, Outlast, goes down to a Soul Crit Return, which I don't think the crit was necessary for, but oh well, let's head on. We've got the Psychic Gym next, and strangely, I'm not worried about this one. For once anyway. I figure we're pretty well set up for all of Tate and Liza's team. This turns out to be the easiest Tate and Liza fight I've had in ages. Xatu is a one hit with Shadow Ball, and probably the biggest threat is down. Not least because the Claydol does very little damage to us with Earthquake, and normally that move is a huge issue. Solrock and Lunatone are both 2 hits each with Shadow Ball. Both of them have berries that activate when we hit them once and take them out of what would otherwise be healing range. Solrock goes for a Sunny Day rather than attacking, while Lunatone goes for a Calm Mind that doesn't protect it from Shadow Ball because that move did physical damage rather than special in this game for some reason. Claydol takes big damage from Shadow Ball and hits a Psychic that does some decent damage, and if it had done that for the whole fight, we'd probably have lost. But after they heal it, a crit Shadow Ball takes the Claydol down. We have the Archie fight next, and I can't see this being as annoying as the Maxi one was, though in theory he's capable of messing us up just as badly. And we do eventually take Mightyena down after getting hit by Scary Face and Swagger and him healing it. Now Swagger worked for us before, it doesn't here, as when the Golbat comes out we hit ourselves 3 times in a row with Confusion while it ends us with Wing Attacks and Air Cutters. Now that wasn't good, I did hope that would go a lot better. This time on the second attempt we get more luck with Confusion. The first bit of the fight goes the same, we hit Mightyena with Dig and return to take it out, getting hit with Scary Face and Swagger in the exchange, all while he heals it. These are annoying on single Pokemon runs, especially when we're physical attackers. Crobat does hit us a few times, as well as Confusion taking over, but we one-hit it with Return eventually. Sharpedo also manages to land a Slash, but we shake Confusion off and end it with a single Return. Whew! Water Gym next, after much story stuff, and I think we might have enough to be okay here. We've built up a healthy level lead, so let's see how we do against the one and only. Now, this starts off great versus Luvdisc as we one-hit it with Return. However, when the Crawdonk comes out next, it survives our Return, and then it one-hits us from full health with a crit Crab Hammer when we're nearly 40 levels higher. You couldn't make that up, oh dear. This time, when we make a second attempt with the Shell Bell on so that we can get health recovery, things go similarly at the start. Luvdisc goes down to Return. Crawdont is a 2-hit with Return, but this time it diverges and only lands Leer, which isn't too bad. Whiscash, out third, goes down to 2 returns, only using Amnesia instead of attacking, which was a brave choice. Celio does at least hit an Aurora Beam, which hurts, but we take it out with 2 returns. Suddenly, I'm quite worried about Glacier in the Elite Four, and Return does just under half on Kingdra, as it sets about setting up double teams. I can only think our ability helps us because we never miss a move as I try to weaken it with Metal Claws to put it out of healing range and buff our attack, but the latter never happens. We do get a crit off Return, but it's right after he's used Rest and it lands the Kingdra in red health, only for him to Hyper Potion it up. It takes a long time to take the Kingdra down, but we never got hit, and when we do put it on the watery canvas, we get the last badge. Just while we are heading to Victory Road, I'll give you some channel updates. I've not recorded much over the last few days, it's been a pretty bad week. I'll go into more detail in the outro. What's going on? I finished the Resident Evil 4 playthrough. I'm still working out what to play next in that series, because playing them in chronological order clearly wasn't for me here. I'm still cracking on with Jedi Fallen Order. The first parts of the Mystery Dungeon DX playthrough will be on the channel by now, check those out. Also, the next Pokemon Challenge, challenge number 49, will be uploaded, possibly next week if I can. The next 2 challenges could take a while to do, so hopefully I can get them out without delay. Next week, we are going to see if I can beat Pokemon Fire Red without using stab moves, which could very well be interesting. Week after that, for challenge number 50, well, I might as well tell you, it's going to be Pokemon Black with a single Archeops. So yeah, we've done Emerald with Slacking, we've done Heart Gold with Regigigas. We're going for a trinity of bad ability Pokemon runs. Anyway, as we head into Victory Road, we have the quick Wally fight. There is actually a few hairy moments here as we start the battle. Altaria is a 2-hit with Return, only using Safeguard. Next is Delcatty, and this causes a huge issue when it uses Charm to harshly lower our attack. I take it out with 5 Metal Claws to try and get some attack back, but no dice. It even drags the fight out longer by using Sing. Worse, it knows assist and there's always a danger it might pull a super effective move out. At least when Magneton comes out, it is a one hit with dig, before Roselia is a 2 hit with return. Though, unfortunately, it does poison us with Toxic, putting us on a timer, but at least we are quite far into the fight. Gardevoir, Outlast, is a 2 hit with Shadow Ball, despite its best efforts to try and stall us further with Double Team. Say what you like, but Compound Eyes has been a pretty good ability throughout this run. We get to the Pokemon League, and here are our stats as we stand in Evergrande City. So we're here at level 88, and some of our stats are okay-ish. Defense and speed are good. Special defense is okay. Attack is okay. I think we're going to have to do a lot with what we've got. This is with a lot of special defense EVs as well, I'll point out, so you can imagine what it'd be like if I'd not trained that stat early on. Anyone want to take a guess on if we can do it at this level or not? Post your comments now. I think we'll struggle versus Glacier and Drake. We might be okay versus Phoebe because of Shadow Ball. Sydney, we can probably overpower too, but it's worth remembering as we go out to face the first Elite Four member, he starts with an intimidated Mightyena, so we're going to be struggling to hurt him. Mind you, when the Mightyena comes out, we hit a Metal Claw right off the bat and get our attack back to normal. One Sand Attack messes with our first return, and though the second one lands, it doesn't quite finish it off, prompting a heal. What's worse is that we get hit with 2 Crunchers, and they lower our special defense both times. We do take Mightyena out, but the Crawdont is next, and when we can't one-hit it with return, it takes us out with Surf. I head back in after levelling up a little more. It's pretty bad that we're 10 levels off maximum at this point, and I wish we had a way to buff our attack. Ninjask gets Swords Dance, but alas, we don't. Anyway, it's the same story again when we head back in. We don't get the buff of repeated Metal Claws versus Mightyena, and it causes a lot of damage to us before we finally take it down, only for the Crawdont to come in and end us with 2 Surf attacks. Not good. I mean, there is one thing we can do to make Sydney easier, as we can learn Fury Cutter in Verdant Turf Town, which will be good for Sydney. I suppose it probably will be more useful than Metal Claw going forward. When I've got Fury Cutter, it's a pretty straightforward sweep through his entire team. It takes 3 of them to drop Mightyena, thanks to the Intimidate, but we're just getting warmed up at this point, and eventually we are sweeping through his entire team with the move, one-hitting Crawdont, then Absol, then Shiftry, and finally the cat turn as Sydney goes crashing down. Suddenly I feel better about myself. Normally, Phoebe can be awkward, but at least we have a super effective move, so this might not be that bad in the scheme of things. Anyway, I know the first Dusclops is going to use Protect, so I go for Dig and then kick myself because I hope we're not leaving ourselves open for Curse. Thankfully, when we come out of the ground, it uses Shadow Punch and we take it out with Shadow Ball. 2 Shadow Balls take out the second Dusclops, but we do get hit with Ice Beam. Bayonet number 1 is a 1 hit with Shadow Ball, not managing to land a hit, before Sableye is a 2 hit with the same move, thanks to it being part Dark type. It only uses Double Team to defend itself, before the second Bayonet is also a 1 hit with Shadow Ball. That could have gone so much worse. Glacier then, I'm worried. All of her Pokemon have super effective moves versus us. The Glalie, probably the one time Metal Claw would have been useful here. Oh well, let's see what we can do. I hit upon the idea of using the Fury Cutter strategy again. I mean, if we're going to need to hit hard and our accuracy is boosted on that move, why not? It takes 4 of them to knock the first Celio out, during which time we get hit with hail damage and an Ice Ball, but not much else. Once that's out of the way, the first Glalie goes down to a Soul Fury Cutter, and the second Celio does the same very quickly after, which is great. The second Glalie also can't stand up to Hirsch's claws and is taken down in 1 hit. The Walrein though can stand up to them and survives, hitting an Ice Beam that we survive, and then we take it out at the second attempt with Fury Cutter. I can already tell Drake is going to be horrible. I can't use that strategy again thanks to Salamence and Altaria. Also, the Salamence has Intimidate, so that is not going to be good. I can only hope he'll send it out late in the fight, but I'm not betting on it. Shelgon is tanky and it takes a lot of effort to knock out. Worse, it has Rock Tomb and manages to land 2 of them because, of course, if I tried to land 2 Rock Tombs in this game, both of them would probably miss. I get it to a sliver of health and then it goes for Double Edge, and by the time I've stopped laughing, I realise it has the Rockhead ability and doesn't take recoil damage, which doesn't do much for my ego. We don't take much damage, but the speed loss is massive as Kingdra comes in next because that can outspeed us now and knocks us out with 2 serfs. Worse, we do less than half damage with return, so it's probably going to take 3 hits to end it. I managed to get back at level 95 and I'll see how this goes here. If it doesn't work, I'll use my rare candies to max out my level. Bad is the answer. We can 2-hit Shelgon but get hit with a Rock Tomb, as well as it being irritating and using Protect. When Kingdra comes out, it outspeeds thanks to the Rock Tomb and hits us with Smokescreen. I go for a dig to try and avoid a Surf that I know's coming, but he switches into Flygon, who avoids the dig with its ability. We can 2-hit it with return, but it crashes 2 flamethrowers into us for big damage before the Kingdra comes back out and finishes us off with Surf. Max level then. So, here are our stats at level 100. This is what we're working with. We look at these stats, this is what we've got, this is what we've got to use, this is what we've got to go for it with, and this will have to be enough. I make several more attempts at this. I eventually get one run where pretty much everything goes right over the course of the fight. When Shelgon tries to use Rock Tomb, it misses and we 2-hit it. When we face Kingdra, we 2-hit it and it only goes to Dragon Dance rather than Surf. Flygon does hit a Flamethrower, but we can 2-hit it, just as we do with Altaria, who again only goes for a Dragon Dance and doesn't even attempt to attack. The issue is Salamence, because it can 2-hit us with Flamethrower and 2 returns only put it on low yellow health. With a berry and him having heals, it's not like we can beat him at that range. I might need double team. I don't think there's any other way about it. I don't like to go down this route, but it might be the easiest way. I'm going to get rid of Dig. It'll be annoying for when I have to face Wallace's Tentacruel, but we have got to get there first. Eventually, we do get a return where we get our 6 double teams up versus Shelgon, getting hit with 1 Rock Tomb in the process because, of course, when I've got 4 double teams up, somehow it will manage to land that move, and then we take the Shelgon out with 2 returns. At least, only 1 Rock Tomb isn't too bad. Kingdra takes many hits thanks to unkind damage ranges. We just failed to knock it out with the second return and he heals it, meaning that we have got to go again. But eventually we do take it out with our return moves. Flygon is a 2-hit with return, missing the Flamethrower, while Altaria is also a 2-hit. It does land an aerial ace, which of course that crits, not helpful. When Salamence comes out and intimidates, it can outspeed us and it does miss the Flamethrower before return crits it to take it down. Whew! Just Wallace left, and I say that because I think we've got absolutely no chance versus Stephen Stone in this game. Anyway, this takes many attempts. We lose so many attempts to Wailord and its Water Spout and Blizzard attacks, some of them being landed through 4 and 5 double teams, which isn't helpful at all. I have to resort to an old strategy, because this isn't the first time I've had to set up double teams on Wallace's Wailord. The trick is to put a few double teams up and then put it on red health, so that if it does land a Water Spout, it doesn't do much damage. Even then, it takes more than a few turns to execute this strategy properly, and I'm pretty pleased when we finally managed to get the 6 double teams up without being knocked out or weakened. I do not think we could have done this without the double team. Tentacruel misses the Toxic after we take the Wailord down, and we do take the Tentacruel down with 2 returns. Ludicolo is a 2-hit with return. It goes for a double team of its own, but thankfully we don't miss, so that's something. Whiscash is a 2-hit with return. It only goes for Amnesia as we're beating it senseless. Strangely, he sends Milotic out next rather than Gyarados, but I'm not going to complain about that in the slightest, as we pound it with returns and he chooses to employ the aggravating strategy of healing over and over and over and over and over again with Recover. It keeps the Sea Serpent alive for several turns until eventually we get a crit and end it. That'll show him for playing stall tactics. It missed a Toxic and a Surf as well, both of which would have been bad. Anyway, Gyarados is last, and thanks to Intimidate, our first return does about a quarter of its health in damage before it Dragon Dances twice. That's ominous. Mind you, it won't make his water moves hit any harder, and it turns out to be irrelevant anyway, because we crit with return on the next turn to wipe it out, winning us the run and taking Hirsch into the Hall of Fame, meaning that we are done with this week's challenge. Given Stephen Stone opens with a Skarmory and how long it took us to beat Winona's, yeah, I'm not inclined to waste time with a battle that we cannot win, so I'm going to call it here. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. This run was emotionally challenging for me for reasons that I'll go into shortly, but I hope the end result was something good. This end was brutal, I'll say that. It's always tough when you do this game with something that has water weaknesses. Join me again next week for the aforementioned challenge where we see if I can beat Pokemon Fire Red without using stab moves. I'm sure we will do it, but that one might be more about the journey than the destination. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, drop them in the comments section, in my Twitter or my Discord. You can find the links to both of the latter down in the description of the video. I did mention it last week. If you have any ideas for challenges in Heart Golds and Soul Silver in Gen 6 or Gen 7, again let me know because that's something I'm very interested in doing. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, drop a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell. All good for the almighty algorithm. So, what's new with me? Well, it was a pretty bad week for me personally, the culmination being the death of my dog, which really put the other things into perspective, and as much as I don't want to end the video on a downer, it does feel like I've lost a part of me. The home feels empty at the moment, and I am going to look to get another dog soon. It doesn't stop me from missing her at all though. Every dog owner thinks that their pooch is the best in the world, and none of them are wrong. I'd give anything to have her back right now, so that's been quite upsetting over the last few days. This has taken my mind off it somewhat, but always it's there. And yes, I do appreciate the irony of me bemoaning the loss of my dog while I've simultaneously been beating a lot of Poochyena and Mychiena unconscious in this video. I've not got much more to say beyond thanks for watching, take care folks, and see you next time. As always, this has been Once and Future Gamer. This has been Pokemon Emerald with a single Nincada. I am going to call it a day here. Thanks again. Bye bye now. See ya.